Annyeonghaseyo. What's up, beautiful souls? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mamina. You can call me Mina for short, or Divine Starseed. Appreciate you being here and checking me out. This is another Mystics Pick a Card collaboration for September. We are focusing on past life lessons. They may channel to me in different ways. It could be an actual past life incarnation and the traits of them that come through for some of you in this collective. It could be that there's something that may seem like a lifetime ago, but it contributes to your current expansion and or something that you may need to purge from yourself. As always, any style of reading, no matter how squeaky clean it may seem, can have triggers to them. So be mindful of that. Make sure that you center yourself by closing your eyes. Inhale slowly for the count of 7. Hold it for the count of 7 and then slowly release it. When you open your eyes, what from the statues or the back of the decks is standing out to you? If 2 or more do, that's fine. You can watch however many you want to. I always say see which one is pulling your attention the most. That could have like the main points that you may need to take away, and then the next one could have additional information. This is a collaboration, so for each time you pick, just like right now, I'm going to scroll the names of the others on the screen. Make sure that you tap the link in the description to check them out. Some of us do 3 decks, some of us do 4. Don't worry about having to pick the same number every time. Just go with what's pulling on you vibrationally and calling for your attention. Okay, as always, you are responsible for your actions and reactions to any spiritual guidance that you receive here on my channel. You are the master of your universe, darling. And without further ado, you have option 1, 2, and 3. Pause the video if you need to. When you come back, choose your pile. Alright, pile 1, you chose this lovely figure here in the Before Tarot. Before we get into the tarot, we're going to get into the archetypes of the past life that still hold true in this life, in this current incarnation. So pretty much, what traits did you have in your past that hold true in this current incarnation? And then we will break down to the other sections. We're going to be using the Real Me deck by Joey from King Aloha. Let's get it. Let's go. Pile 1. What personality traits from a past life still holds true in this current one? We have modesty. I like to keep things simple. So for some of you, even if you're not necessarily modest as far as like maybe fashion or other things are concerned, you do like for things to be kept simple, just straight to the point, straightforward. That's something that was a trait of yours in another lifetime or in a past life. Let's get another one. Personality traits from a past life that still hold true in this current incarnation. We have book smarts. I am educated and studious. Okay, so I'm taking this 2 ways. For some of you, you might have actually received, even in another life, if it wasn't receiving a higher education, like going to a prestige school or something, a learning institute, it might have actually been studying mystic arts or getting your hands on books that maybe you shouldn't have been able to get your hands on and studying them. And that's a trait that you still have now. Some of you have been able to kind of get your hands on actual books that you probably weren't supposed to be having when you were a certain age, and getting a certain level of wisdom from them. That could be anything. It could be mystic, it could be other things. For others, you might have actually went to college, and maybe in a past life you also attended school, or you had a higher education. So in a past life you were someone who could read and or write books. Okay, so that's still something that you hold true to. You might be a book lover. That could be another trait of yours. You love reading and learning. And we have business minded. I look for ways to monetize my talents. You could be reading up on ways to bring more success to your personal business or to a business that you work for. All right, let's get a deeper clarification on these energies and how you can utilize them today. There are traits of you that you can see here that are similar to a past life. I feel like when it comes to simple things, you might have been considered a simple person in another life. Like, oh, I don't want to say the word I just heard. We're going to skip that word. That word that I just heard. But people might have thought in another life that you were maybe too modest or too uneventful. And it wasn't that you weren't eventful. It's just that I feel like you gauged who you wanted to reveal more of yourself to, who you wanted to be more detailed and show the complexities of who you are. What individuals deserve that and which ones didn't. And a nice majority of people just didn't deserve a deeper look at you. So you kept it simple. Yes, no. I don't feel like you were very black and white in that life. And I don't feel like you're really that in this one. Though there may be some things that you can tend to be that way with. And if so, you're going to have to expand your view here. So if there's some things that you're very yes, no, and there's no gradient, there's no in between, then you need to learn to start accepting the gradients and flowing with them and recognizing them. It's going to give you more richness and more fulfillment in aspects of your life that you need that and you want that. Okay. In other matters, when people make things extremely complicated, you're probably the person that can simplify it real easy. Like it's A, B, C. We don't even need to make it to D. You know what I mean? Like you're just straight to the point with it. And that's something you could do back then. I just feel like you might have sometimes did it in situations where people wanted to see a more soulful you, a more colorful you. And you may have not thought they were worthy of that. That could be a trait that still, it's transferred over into this incarnation. But now I feel like Spirit is telling you that there are so many places in your life to express yourself. They don't want you to hold back. You don't have to give too much to people who don't deserve it. But don't hold back in showing all those layers of who you are just because some people in the past didn't deserve it. Okay, whether that be a past life or just something that seems like a lifetime ago. When it comes to the book smarts, I do feel like a lot of you who pick this pile, you do love to read, or at the very least you love to learn things. You might be a visual learner actually. When you read, you see, you're probably similar to how I am. Like when I read things, I'll see images and pictures. I don't always see the words. Like I do and I don't. So you might be like that, very visual, or you're able to take words and in your mind make them visual. Should that be the case, at times you found yourself learning more so from a book than maybe an actual like person. So a teacher could do a whole lot of blabbing, but the book probably interested you more than them. They might have made whatever it is seem boring and basic, and you're like, nah, I'd rather get into the adventure of the book. I feel like others, you're a writer. You like writing guides, or you like making tutorials on things. All right, that was something that you liked to do back then, which indicates to me, I haven't picked up a century yet, but that indicates to me that if you grew up in a time where typically certain modest classes weren't allowed to learn to read and write, you were able to learn to read and write even if you had to teach yourself. All right, which contributes to that business minded energy when it comes to looking for ways to monetize your talents. That's a nice way of saying you learned how to hustle. Yeah, hustle has several meanings. It isn't always just, oh, you're hustling people out of money. No, you learned how to turn your talent into something that you could make a profit off of, especially if you were living in a time where if you were to do the standard thing, you would barely be surviving. And that could be something the Spirit's telling you you need to adapt more in this life. You have talents, you have knowledge already within yourself. So how can you expand upon that existing knowledge? Okay, hopefully you're following that so far. We're going to move on along and we're going to clarify the messages. All right, we have deconstruct. We're using the Celeste Rose by Celeste Simone Tarot, another person contributing to this collaboration. All right, so we have deconstruct. All right, that goes along with this modest energy. We have rebel. Remember what I said about like you were probably studying or reading things or looking into things that you would have been told you're not supposed to? That's that rebel in you. Okay, so I believe you had the capability of really simplifying things by sometimes deconstructing them. And this is a trait that you're being told to tap into more in your current lifetime. It's a lesson that you can bring into the now. Some things from a past life aren't just going to be, oh, this is karma I need to heal. Oh, this is something bad. No, sometimes they were great talents that your soul picked up. And your soul, once it learns something, it can decide to keep it going. It can decide to carry it on. That's how we're able to carry sometimes the negative and the positive and the in-between. I feel like that modest energy is your in-between. because depending on how you utilize it, it can work for you or against you. And that deconstruct energy is you have the ability to break something down to its most basic root and then build it back up, reconstruct it in a more productive way. And that comes from that book smart, aka being able to easily absorb knowledge. So even if you don't like reading a whole lot, when someone teaches you something and you're able to focus and pay attention, you learn it fairly quickly. You might add your little own twist and spin to it, because I feel like you're more colorful than people might realize you are, right? But you definitely rebel against the normal, let's say, status quo or the normal settings, right? So just because your book smart, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily walking around looking nerdy. You know what I mean? Or whatever people would think book smart is supposed to look like. And if we take you coming from a lifetime or a past life where you grew up just wouldn't make sense to people, like, how do they know that? Well, how did they gain that knowledge? When did they learn to do this? When did they learn to do that? Huh? What? People are shocked by what you're able to do. And I feel like there's this inner part of yourself that wants to express, well, quite frankly, darling, I don't give a damn if you're shocked. I'm capable, and that's all that matters, right? So own that energy. And with the business minded, darling, we have discipline. Okay, so that being able to monetize on your talents, we can also take that as being able to have confidence in your talents, right? Trusting your talents, trusting your capabilities. If you find that you lack discipline as of late, or that you've been, I feel like, let's say for some of you a few months ago, a few years ago, maybe even before certain situations happened that had everybody trapped in the house, right? You were able to stay consistent with your business, whether it was personal, work, whatever. And then after being kind of maybe, on lockdown or whatever it may have been for you, or you just went through a slump, you let things go. And there's a certain insecurity that may have seeped in from that. You forgot just how good you are at being on point, being disciplined with something, getting it done, staying consistent, even sometimes when motivation kind of went down for a second. You were able to elevate it back up by staying consistent with your work. It is a capability that you have within you. If you feel you lack it or you lost it, this is a reminder that you haven't. And if you've always felt like you've kind of lacked in that matter, then it might have been because you were trying to learn someone else's ways of doing things instead of having your own unique, talented way of doing it. You might be someone who you don't do well in, say, a stiff corporate position. Not that you may not be working a corporate job, but it doesn't fulfill you. You work better in avenues and areas where you can shine uniquely. Okay? So once you're able to find that spark, that thing that, oh, I'm really good at this, you become disciplined with it, and it's almost effortless to do it. So Spirit is reminding you that you have this capability. These are capabilities that are within your soul. You can activate them at your leisure. Okay, let's get into some past life messages. We have travel, and we see a train. Trains keep on with the keep on. They keep on going. They keep on moving. They only pause to pick up who they have to, and then they go on. And we have night. Now with that rebel energy, you would be like a rebel knight. The knight, this doesn't have to be an occupation that you actually had. Okay, if it channels that way, I'll tell you. But for many of you, what I pick up on, knights were normally, they were loyal to the so-called crown, sometimes to a fault, in toxic ways even. For example, if the king is crazy as hell and he's just treating the people like absolute garbage, the knights would sometimes be in on it or go along with it. Contrary to popular belief, they were not always just these upstanding, we have valor, and many times they would use their so-called valor and honor as an excuse to appear better than someone. And then there were those who were the rogues. They had more of a warrior personality. You guys have always heard me tell you there's a difference between warrior versus knight. Warriors, first of all, understand brute force in a different manner, and therefore they also understand having to tap into inner power. They don't just work on the morale of others. Sometimes they have to build themselves up. Knights are like soldiers. Sometimes they need that morale boost. They need somebody to encourage them to go. Nothing wrong with it, but it's a difference here. I feel like some of you carry more of a warrior spirit. So even if you were in a position that required you to follow a set rule or have a certain pledge, if that pledge didn't go along with your highest good or where your moral compass was, then like a warrior, you'll rebel. Okay, you will be like, nah, this is like Joan of Arc kind of vibe. Like, no, I'm not agreeing with the current status. A higher power is telling me to do something different, so that's what I'm going to do. If it's telling me to raise the people into a higher archetype or a higher way of life, then that's what I'm going to do. This is the path I choose, even if the crown and the church and the this and the that might be against me because it's not politically correct to them. So this is the kind of energy I feel you have. I also feel like a lot of you at times find yourself again armoring up. Remember what I said about the modest energy when it came to sometimes being modest, or not necessarily modest, but holding back when you should actually be displaying a more colorful version of you. You put that armor on. I'm hearing that song, I put my armor on, I show you that yeah. But some of you put the armor on to hide. Like, no, you don't see me. I'm invisible. I'm blending with the background. And then when people come around that spark your interest, you take that helmet off, you take that armor off, and you reveal yourself. And it's just spirit saying, if you're going to wear an armor of any kind, let it be the divine protection that's around you and allow yourself to shine in it. Joan of Arc didn't hide her face. For some reason, Joan of Arc is coming up more than once. So that energy or that timeline may really resonate with a lot of you. You could be a descendant of her family or of the families of that era, okay? And with the travel energy, was really sticking out to me here is the train. Being able to find ways to move forward no matter what. And again, with the energy of being able to simplify things, it's like deconstruct it, take it down to its, let's say take that engine apart for the train. Find out what's wrong with it, put it back together, the engine moves forward smoother. So these traits here, they can have their positives and their negatives depending on what you choose to activate them for. All right, let's get one more. Wow, can't make it up. Soldier. After everything I just said about the knight, soldier. I see knights a lot of times like soldiers. And a lot of times the energy of the knight and the soldier is you follow an order. And with that rebel energy and that discipline energy, it's one thing to follow an order or follow a person that can give you guidance if it's still in alignment with your divine path, if it's in alignment with where your morals are, where you believe the compass is taking you. But the moment that goes awry, some of you rebel against that setting. I have to serve the king because, well, hey man, if the king ain't doing what they're supposed to for the people, I become a soldier for the people, not the king, right? But you still have the discipline necessary that a soldier tends to have, that being able to focus on a task and get that particular task done, that's still there. So some of you may resonate with feeling as if you've been through war in another life, or as if you've been through battle. I feel like more of you, it might be the feeling of battle, and in this lifetime it's come back reflecting in situations, not necessarily actually being on a battlefield, but more so in the sense of you've been through a lot of minor conflicts in life that when they add up they felt like major battles, but you've conquered each one. Okay, you've conquered each one, and it's important for you to understand that you have that capability of moving forward. Let's get into the tarot. Let's find out what it is you need to apply currently. How are these how are these lessons helping you? How are these lessons helping you right now? How are these past life lessons helping you currently? We have King of Cups. So with that King of Cups energy, the King of Cups, the master of his domain, the master of his feelings, and knowing when to convey them and when not. That goes back to that modest energy. And here, this is the before tarot. So this is when he's getting ready to receive this christening cup. And in the midst of that time, if you pay attention to the background, his valleys are barely flooded. I always point out how the king sits on this stone that looks like it's in the middle of a stream or even an ocean. And that stone is completely unmoving. And there's two ways to view that. Is he about to drown? Is he going to be overtaken by the tides that are raising higher and higher? Or has he learned to calm those waters down? And the only reason that pillar is standing there is because of his sheer will. His sheer will keeps that pillar in place, or maybe the pillar's moving where he wants it to go. The waves are taking him where he needs to be. I feel like it's important for you to get in tune with knowing how to evaluate your feelings in the situations around you. You already have expertise in this because you've been through so many battles in life, and even in a past life you've had a couple of battles, and whether it was actual war, you may have relatives that also served ancestry that were soldiers or knights. I mean, you might actually know that you have relatives that were knights, maybe even descendants of, like I said, that Joan of Arc period. So with that being said, you have the capability of gaining I don't want to say control, but flowing with the waters and knowing how to calm it down. That's what I feel that deconstruct means. And then get it to flow in the direction that you need to go. And just be mindful that when it comes to powerful energies like that and elements like that, it's not going to always be about what you want. It's going to be about what you need. And having the capability to see what you need and how to be in the right frequency and vibration of it. I know I'm channeling possibly pretty fast, but hopefully this is all making sense to you guys. And with that book smart energy, we have a lot of water energy. So some of you could be a water sign, or it could be very influential in your chart. We have the ace of water, communication. I'm picking up very clearly communication and understanding how to fill your own cup. That's what knowledge is. Knowledge is knowing how to fill your vessel, how to expand your mind, express your spirit, and being able to do so in such magnetic ways without always having to go over the top. You know what I say? It's about working smarter, not always harder, right? So if we're working smarter, we get more done, we cover more ground, and we get to enjoy our time while we're at it. So I feel like joy is very important in your life right now. If you've been lacking that, you need to start filling your own cup. You need to start reminding yourself of what you're capable of. You might have you could be a parent, because with that King of Cups, I'm picking up like a father type, vibration. You yourself may be a parent, or maybe you had a father who could have served, been a soldier, who was very influential in your life when it came to teaching you certain ways to be in charge of your emotions or being able to take care of yourself. Like how, some dads will teach their daughters how to change a tire, or teach their sons how to treat a lady, that type of thing, like giving you guidance that you can expand upon in your own way over time. So there's a renewal, this sense of renewal, but it starts by you triggering it within yourself. Most of the time when that renewal energy comes out, it's saying that whatever it is going to flow to you regardless. I feel like you're in charge of what starts to fill your valley here. You're in charge of whether or not that valley is just over flooded, or whether or not it's intentional that you brought in those waves so that pillar can be moved further out where it actually belongs and not stay stuck in just one area. It's all about your perspective. It's all about how you interpret the energies that are surrounding you at the moment. But there is a chance for a renewal of your life here, a growth, filling your own cup. And to further clarify that, we have the Queen of Pentacles. Self-care is of importance, and how you treat others, how you reflect it back to others. So are you taking care of yourself? When you really think about it, are you making sure that you are providing for yourself as much as you provide for another? And if you do provide at times for others, are you doing it from a space of expansion or obligation? Those things matter, because they're going to contribute to the energy that projects itself in your life. There's a lot of, I feel like you're being given the renewal energy here to have the opportunities necessary to expand your garden. Think about how that looks. The water's coming in the valley is going to push that pillar out to new spaces, right? These new spaces are fulfilling, they're renewal. They fill your cup and everything. And then that puts you in a new space where there's all this open field where you can then plant the seeds you want to and watch them grow. But you will need discipline to take care of that space. and it starts with taking care of yourself. Let's get a sense of time here. Let's get a sense of time of importance. This could have been past time of importance that contributes to the now, or it could be important things coming in the future. We have March. There's a lot of psychic vibration here for a lot of you. I'm picking up a lot of Cancer and Pisces energy, to be more precise. Yes, the transformative energy of Scorpio is here, but Pisces and Cancer is channeling very strong. Sense of romance and the sense of intuition and caring is very strong here. And then with that Queen of Pentacles, I'm actually heavily picking up on Virgo energy. The taking care of self, but also how to put this in practice in a practical way. The Queen of Coins can be soulful and spiritual, but she still finds practical ways to display all of that so that she can maintain the balance, so that she can maintain a foundation of growth and nourishment. And this is something that you need. I'm also picking up a little bit of Capricorn energy here, like somebody who, once the gears start turning, they put in that work. Okay, they put in that work. Just make sure you're working smarter, not harder. All right, let's get another Marches of importance. March of last year might have also been important. Something could have happened in March of last year that made you feel like, yeah, the gears and the path in my life is switching and or changing. And so I'm hearing March is going to be important again for a lot of you. The month of October. So what I'm actually getting from October, this reading is for September. This October, we'll say from like October 3rd to maybe the 13th, there's important information or chances for you to tap into yourself more here and display a side of you that others aren't used to seeing, in a good way, in an empowering way. And I feel like those that are meant to vibe with that will vibe with that, and those who aren't, well, now you know where they stand and you know where you have to move on to. Okay, March is also the 3rd month, so 3 is an important number here, and 11 is an important number here. 10 is also an important number with that October. 10 is important, so maybe March 11th, maybe March 10th is of significance. The season is spring and fall. So these are both the seeds. If you think about it, transformation, right? That little bit of Scorpio energy that was coming in here, because we do know that Scorpio is in the end of October. So with the spring vibration, this is winter transitioning into spring, transitional energy. And then we have, you're in the middle of fall when it comes to this, or autumn, which is when the leaves start to change. So change is taking effect in your life. We have, on a special occasion, change is taking effect in your life on a special occasion, and these are spring to summer looking flowers. Let's keep it moving. We used V's time cards. Now we're going to use another deck by V from V Love and Crystals, who's also participating in this collaboration. I try to remember when I'm channeling to mention the cards to y'all, but as always, the links are in the description for the decks that I use. Let's get some important answers. Take action. So when that winter starts to turn into spring, or that vibration of it, doesn't have to be, I mean, the actual seasons are important, but this could also be vibrationally. When you start to feel like a new, a spring is picking up in your step, take action. I feel like you'll intuitively be guided on the how. Okay. All right. When you're transitioning, or not so much transitioning, but when you're in the midst of those changing leaves, in the midst of fall, like for example, September's Mercury retrograde, and normally people will tell you to try not to make big plans, and that can be impossible in some cases, or I don't like to use the word impossible, but it can be difficult in some cases. So instead, you want to take your time. You don't want to rush. If you were thinking of rushing something in October just to get it over and done with, or rushing something in September so it'll be done by October, advise against it. Trust your instincts, because when it comes to the sense of time in this retrospect and answers, they can slightly change depending on what other factors come into play later on. But as far as the vibration is right now, when you feel that spring in your step to take action, you want to do it, but you want to do it at a certain pace, at a practical pace. Don't rush something. Rushing might backfire here. You might also have certain questions on your mind for each of these rows, and these could be the answers to those questions, okay? Let's get that last row. And for the last row, we have time to move on. On a special occasion, it will be time to move on. And I'm seeing communication in both of these cards. So if you've been dealing with someone who's been slow at taking action, or people who've been kind of making you promises, can't keep them, they've been holding back on you. Like, remember what I said about that? Some people will be able to still be a part of where you're growing to, and others you're expanding beyond. And that comes out a lot in these collective messages, because that's just the times that we're in now. We're no longer in the times where people are, not that we ever were, but we're no longer in a time where people have to accept energies in their life that are counterproductive to their highest good. And by being counterproductive to your highest good is counterproductive to the collective, because whether you like it or not, you go out in the world, you interact. Even when you don't go out in the world, you're still contributing to it and interacting. And that creates a certain vibration, right? So if you take all of that in consideration, my loves, it means that every decision you make contributes to how the world spins. You're not some minuscule, oh, there's no point of your existence. There's always a point of your existence. It's just a matter of what you do with it. And some energies will collab beautifully with it, and some just are not meant to. Okay? Let's get into your last messages, some positive energy. This deck is also by Joey from King Aloha. We have forgiveness, 333. We got gossip and belief. All right, babies, let's see what this is about. We have forgiveness, 333, and I said to y'all the number 3 is important. We have it's time to safely let go of the past, your involvement with it. Forgive the offense, including yourself, but don't forget the lessons. And this is about what? Past life lessons. So be it the lifetime you had before this one, literally as far as a different incarnation, or be it the current incarnation you have right now. There are lessons that you've learned that you can move forward with. You don't need to keep repeating a cycle that's not healing, that's not of growth. We have gossip, 4439. Words freely said about you in malice will turn on their speakers' heads. Any lies about you will be exposed, and the truth will be revealed. So they advise, again, if you've been, maybe that's why you've been feeling the need to also rush something, because somebody felt the need to, like, I need to get this done before October, or rush it in October. If a part of that has been due to gossip and maybe feeling like, I don't want these people on my back, I don't want my reputation to be ruined, you don't have to worry about none of that. You don't have to worry about rushing some type of project or something you're doing because other people are being idiots. All right, that's not your problem. They're going to get theirs. Right? They advise against you also participating with people who tend to talk a whole lot of crap about somebody, because they're probably talking about you the same way they talk about somebody else. All right? But anybody at any point in time that's ever tried to put any kind of falselyhood on you, just like they did in the past, they're going to learn. They're going to learn in this lifetime too, just in case there's a karmic energy, be it a family member, level, whoever, that's trying to, like, I feel like disturb your peace. We have belief, 2056. You have learned that your personal beliefs matter too. You no longer allow people to challenge or argue with you. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Boom. Time to move on. Boom. My darlings who chose pile 1, that was your message. I pray that you were able to take away what you could from that. You may have to listen to it a few times. I kind of felt like I started talking fast. But peace, love, and light, beautiful souls. Please make sure you check out the other readers. Link in description. What up, pile 2? Boo boo. So if you are new around here, thank you for checking me out. In case you didn't hear me the first time, this is a collective reading, so make sure that you also check out the other readers and the messages they may have for you as well. For right now, let's dive into this one. We're going to first tap into personality traits that you had in a past life that you still have in this current incarnation, and then we're going to dive into everything else from there. We're going to be using the Real Me Oracle by Joey of King of Aloha. Again, all of the deck information, as always, is in the description. If a link is provided for, then the deck is still in production. If I don't have the link, either I don't know the creator anymore because their information isn't on the cards, and or they just don't sell that deck. Okay, let's get into personality traits that you had in a past life that contribute to your current incarnation. Let's get it. Let's go. We have intimidating. Darling, you can tend to intimidate people. Let's get the other cards out and then we'll break them all down. All right. Whoop. Okay then. Alrighty then. We have creative. And we have manipulator. And while I'm not always moved to go to the bottom of the deck, we have peaceful. I'll only go to the bottom of the decks when I feel moved to. All right, darlings. So with the energy of intimidation, I feel like at times people find either your presence or your aura very intimidating. This may not be the It's not the authentic you. It's just a presence that you carry. You could have very intimidating features, not in the sense that you're not beautiful or handsome, more so in the sense that when you have like the resting bitch face or the I don't want to be bothered, the blank stare, you're like the expert of it. Okay, and we have my looks can intimidate a lot of people. You might also sometimes dress in a way that people could find imposing a little bit or very different than what they can identify as. I don't get the sense that many of you are mean. It's more so people are just nervous, like I don't know how to approach this person. Maybe I feel like I need to know people to get close to them. You might be someone not popular necessarily in the sense of like you try to put yourself out there all the time, for good or bad, but more so in the sense that when you go out places, individuals who are bold enough to talk to you and people that you take time to talk to, by the time you go to another event, it's like everybody knows you. And so that might make some other people feel kind of intimidated to approach you because it's like, yo, they seem to know everybody here. Maybe they're popular, maybe they're known. On top of that, they have an expression that says, I don't want to be bothered. Sometimes y'all wear that expression on purpose. You could be a big teddy bear, a mama bear on the inside, but you sometimes like people having that impression that you can't be approached when you don't want to be bothered. It's like a defense mechanism. Take what resonates. We also have creative. I like creating works of art from my imagination. Okay, so you guys are super creative. You might be, tarot deck creators or oracle creators. You might be painters. You could work in some type of graphic or digital design overall. In a past life, you might have actually been a painter or even a poet. I just heard poet. So you might be really good with expressing yourself when you're writing something down. May not always be easy in conversation with people. You could be someone that likes to write things down, maybe even like text something before you actually conversate, like in a talk, because you kind of feel like the writing can't be interrupted. That's somebody's vibration here. Like, you can't interrupt me when I write, and you can be more creative and express more of that creation in your writing than you might find easy to do when you're trying to conversate. I feel like I keep struggling to talk. So someone here might, there's something about struggling to talk or having stumbling a lot and being nervous about that. It's almost like when you stumble, you feel like, okay, the whole point is missed. And people still get what you say. I can resonate with this because I can get like that. If I'm explaining something and I feel like it's taking too long, I might feel like I'm either stumbling, talking too fast, or talking too slow, only for people to tell me later, I understood everything you said. So that may be something you also resonate with. But That's another reason why sometimes you like for people to think that you're unapproachable, because then you don't have to talk. You might like talking when it's creative and you can really get into it, but other times you're like, you know what, I'm cool with just being over here minding my business. We have manipulator. I have to have control. So there is an issue here of control. For others, I feel like you just manipulate energy because of that creative vibration, whatever creative venture you work on. And it's not limited to just art. Digital art stood out here for somebody, but it could also be, again, writing is a creative outlet, interior design is a creative outlet. Anything that you find that sparks your imagination and it gets you flowing, it gets you going, it's an energy that you know how to manipulate very well. The problem is sometimes you might find yourself wanting so much control over the direction of that creative project or process that you miss something. Okay, so imagine that you're a team leader of a project, or imagine you're writing a book or whatever, right? And you send the book off to the person who has to proofread it. And the individual who proofread it says, hey, there's some parts here that feel a little skip, like they're fillers, or, they're telling you pretty much, they're critiquing you. Critique, very different than criticism. The way I explain it, critiquing is like, here's some areas here that look a little wonky, here's some solutions that could help with it, where sometimes criticism can just come off as everything is bad, it's all bad, oh boo boo boo, rotten tomato, da da da, right? You might find yourself wanting to stay so ironclad to your idea, even if it doesn't make any sense, that it could come out looking like bleh. Right? You have to be willing to allow space to let go of control a little bit. In a past life, you had this same presence. So you might have had a job or a position, a title of stature in their life that could be very intimidating, like a general, like a queen, like a king, etc. But you were always creative. You were always able to come up with ideas and express those ideas. You know what I'm seeing? Some of you who chose this pile, you may resonate with France. I'm seeing this really popular garden in France. It's in France. It's really popular. You could have been someone that loved that kind of thing. Like you loved arranging your garden or having it done and changing it with the seasons. It's something about that. So you might be in love with France, or you might be someone that's really good with your green thumb. You're really good at growing things, metaphysically or otherwise, okay? But you gotta like chill on the control a bit here. All right, let's get some clarifiers for this. Ooh, I feel like I moved my camera. Hold on now. Mercury retrograde is fitting to be. I don't blame Mercury retrograde for everything though. If anything, it's to remind us to slow down. Slow down, darling. Let's get clarification for intimidation. We're using the bravery. We're using Celeste Rose for clarifiers. Let's get all three out, and then we'll break it down. We have balance, creative balance. So intimidating, bravery. Some people might find you really bold, right? So I believe I said earlier, like your sense of style could be bold to them. You just look like somebody that they might feel like they can't get too close to. And it's not always your intention to come off that way. And we have results, manipulating results, wanting to at times control results. So how is this, past life lessons affecting you now, or what do they want you to learn? Sometimes things in your past life are meant for you to expand on. Your soul has memories. It's this internal being. It's this internal multiple being. And in each lifetime, it takes a bit of that lesson with it. And sometimes there are lessons that need to be purged. Other times there are lessons that were learned, but they need to be expanded upon, because when you come into a new incarnation, they're kind of dormant, right? So let's say you don't see yourself as intimidating. You're like, I don't know why people think this way about me. I'm actually like really loving. That's in your energy. You have the capability to be. And a part of it could be because of your bravery. You don't conform, right? Or when you do finally get bold about doing something, you go full throttle, and that alone can make people go, oh my God, like I don't know if I could have ever done that, and it makes them think they can't approach you. right? But I'm hearing spirit say tap into that bravery more. If you feel that you lack it, you don't. It's within you. You just need to activate it, accept that it's there, and move in that energy. When it comes to your creative vibration, you need to be balanced in it. You need to allow your imagination to expand and create from that space. But remember what that manipulator energy was showing. It's showing a person that needs to be in control. Like, I have to be able to control where this gear goes. And sometimes that has a negative effect on the results. You want your results to be more balanced. So in some things, you're going to need to seize a bit of control. And in other things, you're going to need to relax and allow someone else to give you feedback and advice. Let's tap into some past life cards. I'm going to particularly focus on just the past life ones. They have like these little categories. We got a lot of cards to cover. Let's see what past life lessons. Okay. All right. We have shaman with bravery, and it's got the heart energy with this green. Green is also an enriching energy as well. It can also mean planting the seeds, expanding, being fruitful in something that you do. Like, think green like grass, like earth, right? We have the shaman energy. So something else that can be intimidating about you to people is how brave you are now in your spiritual choices. If they come from a spiritual belief where they're kind of locked in and they're not allowed to think outside of what they were told to, and here you are with your gifts, displaying them, maybe again creating oracle cards and etc., then they're looking at you like, how'd you do that? Where'd you get that bravery from? Where did you get that ability to do that and not be afraid? And if you were having fear, then that other version of yourself is saying, nah, we're naturally brave. We can naturally, walk our path. Because I also see the shamaness energy as walking your divine path. No fear. Okay? We have battle. This is giving me a very knighty energy, and that's sometimes where that intimidating can come from. Again, like sometimes wanting to armor yourself up and just be like, I'm cool with y'all not coming over here and talking to me because I ain't want to be bothered, no way. And sometimes that might come back to bite you in the behind if you ain't careful, because creative people need to express, and expressions need to be experienced, and experience leads to inspiration, and it goes on and on and on. And when you spend too much time not allowing yourself to expand in that imagination, in that creativity, you're not only hindering yourself, you're hindering the world. It becomes an eternal battle that keeps you from being balanced. In a past life, you might have dealt with a lot of battles, and it doesn't have to mean a battlefield. If you've ever felt like you've been on a battlefield, and trust me, as someone who can break that down to you, you would know. But if you ever felt like that you've just been on a battlefield, or like in another life you must have went through challenge after challenge after challenge, you did, but you found balance. And a part of finding that balance was being willing to walk your path. Okay, we have oath and vows. All right, having the ability to manipulate energy and the results of things around you. And again, there's a double-edged sword with this vibration, not because of the word manipulation per se, or manipulator. The reality is everyone is an influencer. Everyone therefore is a master of manipulation, should you choose to recognize it. Because every conversation you have, everything that you make, it creates an opportunity to change either your emotions, someone else's emotions, and how that person or you will respond throughout the day or even life. Okay? And you have the capability to speak things into existence in a very powerful way. And because of that, if you're not careful, you can speak a lot of ish into your realm that you don't want. Same thing that you can do to another. So be mindful of your gifts here. I'm hearing, be very mindful of your gifts. Be mindful of the oaths that you take and the vows that you make. And this is whether it's in marriage, a promise, with any kind of connection, with any kind of responsibility. Be very mindful. Don't make a whole lot of promises based on wanting to be in control of something. It's not telling you to not know when to, like, for example, be an authority in your emotions and what you do. But it's very different, and I say this to you guys a lot for my regulars. Being an authority in what you do is not the same as wanting to be an authority or a structure over another person. Being able to manipulate the energies around you to benefit yourself and others is very different than just wanting to be a manipulator who someone must suffer for you to succeed. That mentality is not going to get you anywhere, and it's going to put you through battles that you don't need to go through. Alright, so just be mindful of that. Let's get into the tarot and move it on along. Hopefully this is all making sense to you guys so far. You might have to listen to it a few times. Comment below your takeaways if it's making sense to you thus far. Places like Tibet, Scotland, France. I believe I mentioned France already, right? Yeah, France. If I didn't mention France, I kept seeing a garden, so France. Those places could be of significance to you. All right, you might find yourself really resonating with the language or certain buildings that you see, and it's because it's connected to your past life. It doesn't mean that you necessarily were those people at that time. So for example, you might have lived in France, but it doesn't necessarily mean you were French. All right, so if you felt like you lived somewhere and you knew the language, but there was still some type of disconnect with the culture, that could be why. Your culture might have been something else. You simply moved into that location. We have the Chariot, and I just said moved into that location, and this is right where the bravery is and the being honest with your spiritual path. And here comes the Chariot, the victory, the success, right? Going into battle knowing that you're going to win, coming out victorious in the end. We have Three of Cups, right where creative energy and balance is. Being able to expand upon your gifts, the way you communicate, allowing people in, being a leader of people, but being very mindful of how you lead. Remember, be mindful of the oath and the vows you take. And when I say that, I don't just mean like, oh, you just took some. I also mean that you give and that others take in as well from you. Remember, all the energy is an exchange. All energy is an exchange. And to further clarify that, we have Two of Swords. Cut out what don't serve. Get rid of what isn't really justifiable to your energy, so that you can be in full balance. We have some other cards that flipped here, but I'm only going to really take those three. I will reference them off because I feel like they're important. So we have the Page of Swords, communication, messages. Okay. We have the Page of Cups, expression, dreams, creativity. And then we have the Six of Wands. Okay, once again, this victory energy and being a person of recognition and attention, like people know you. So again, pile two, in this life and in another life, people knew you. You could have been someone, a leader of some kind, maybe even an educator. And that capability, that trait, it's still something that you have in this one, and or that you can activate in this one. Okay, let's get into some time. We're going to be using V from V Love and Crystal's time deck, and then we're going to also use one of her answer cards as well, and then finish it off with the Positivity Oracle. So let's see a time of significance. We have in another lifetime. It's not too late. In another lifetime, some of the things I'm saying, some of you, it's going to resonate with you as not only this lifetime, but a past life, because you know that you feel connection to cultures and places that you've never been to. And if you had the opportunity to go, nothing else felt more like home. So you're going to be able to resonate with that feeling that your soul has that imprint, that experience. For others, a lot of what I'm saying, it feels like a you that you forgot. another, it's this incarnation, but it was years ago, and you feel so far removed, and this reading is reminding you you're not as removed from that as you thought you were. You can still tap into it. It's not too late to do so. It's not too late to feel that creativity, to feel that expansion, to feel that victory, if you will. I also feel like it's telling you that as you learn how to amplify the right energies and purge from you what doesn't belong, because the Two of Swords is also about that cutting away. Look, her arms is in that position. She's about to swing, and when she pulls those two swords apart, something that don't belong is going to be gone. And she has to rely on her other senses that what she cuts away is the right thing. This is relying on your intellectual as well as your spiritual intuition to clear the air. You might find yourself having to clear the air about something, that the results too. That's another thing. It plays into that result energy. But I feel like you're going to be propelled in a way that when you look back to this time period of September 2022, it will feel like a different lifetime, because that triumph, that victory, that attention that's coming your way is so different than what you could imagine right now. And some of you might have thought it was too late to live certain dreams. It was too late to create certain things, especially when you have that intimidating energy. And, maybe it's too late to tap into that bravery the right way. It's never too late. Okay? Spirit's letting you know that right now. I'm hearing we have in 6 years. I don't feel like there's a result that's going to take 6 years per se. For some of you, you might have a 6-year plan for something though. But I'm also hearing 6 years ago, a chain of events took place that gave you the lessons necessary to help push you into the current vibration you're in, and to help you push you forward. So be it good or bad, as far as an event may be concerned, I always tell you guys, no matter what happens, when you look back at lessons, you must find the blessing. All lessons, no matter how harsh the reality was, comes with a blessing. It's your job to identify it. And that might mean facing certain triggers. But 6 years ago, for some of you, something took place that's going to that experience is going to help to propel you forward somewhere. I feel like the results of that, it'll reveal itself to you in time. Also, some of you might have a 6-year plan for some things. And every time we get these cards that are, a couple of years ahead, I always tell y'all, look, when you change your frequency and you match the vibrations you need to, certain things that you thought wasn't going to come to you in quick timing end up accelerating and coming to you quicker, because you're quantum leaping into them. And those of you who've heard me break that down before, or you've heard my classes about it, you get how that works. So the number 6 by itself, 6+ can be very important. Just that number of motion, that number of movement. But you might also find yourself having a 6-year plan. I feel like Spirit is telling you it's cool to have plans and it's cool to have goals, but don't be super attached to the outcomes. Plan them, be precise, because remember, you are a person that can manipulate energy, but be mindful that when you start matching the frequency of certain things, some stuff comes in quicker, some stuff comes a little later. So don't get all panties in a bunch or get too overwhelmed if certain things come quicker than you believe they would, or a little later than you believe they would. But I feel like the number 6 is important for motion and movement. Like 6 of Swords is the vibe I'm getting from that number 6. You could also be moving somewhere new in 6 years, or having the opportunity to travel overseas in 6 years. Take what resonates for you. Let's get into these oracle for questions, or answers to questions rather. Lordy, we have green light, that triumph victory. In another lifetime, give me the green light. Give me just one night. I'm ready to go right now. Somebody's ready to go. Somebody ready. They ready. I'm hearing, are you ready? We also have heck yes. It's not too late. And we have heck yes. It's not too late to get grounded. It's not too late to expand. You got a green light to accept your victories, to accept your bravery, it's okay to let the intimidation down a little bit. And some people who are intimidated by you and aren't giving you the chance or getting the chance to know you, that's their loss. You ain't gotta worry too much about that, boo-boo. I'm just hearing, don't let the intimidation be a wall forever. Okay, and then we have think it over in 6 years. There's a 6-year plan that you might have to think over, because some things may accelerate or some people and places may change before you reach that goal. So don't be super tied down to that. And at the bottom of the deck over here, we have, I like my surroundings to be peaceful, right? So maybe there's some type of peaceful lifestyle coming in for you very soon, and you thought it would take me 6 years to get to a place where I can be comfortable, and they're like, Spirit's like, nah, it ain't gotta take that long. Let's finish this off with some positive energy. And this also comes with some numbers that can be important. Okay, whoa. All right, the whole deck is trying to fly out. Hold up. Hold up. Woo! Lord. Okay, we got 3360, heartbreak. You are finally understanding why certain connections or situations had to end. You are stronger and wiser for the experience, the end of a cycle. Didn't I tell y'all got some experiences? 3360, take that down to a single digit if you have to. You can also look it up as its Hebrew meaning, a Hindi meaning, angel number meaning, and so on and so forth. And look at that, you got creativity. 4561, look at that, 60 and 61, 561, 3360. Those numbers are really significant here because that 6 is really standing out. You discover the many gifts that come from your connection to spirit. Divine inspiration will bring you many abundant ideas in this life. That community is ready to gather around you. The energies are ready to expand for you. And lastly, we have Warrior 1119. You've been through a lot of tough times, but that only made you stronger. You can elevate your status through these experiences. No experiences are in vain. You've been through a lot of battles, be it physically, like a physical fight, physical battles in another life. You know, you may recognize that you can feel the battles you've been through in other lifetimes. You know it well. Or it could have just been you always had to fight for something. And that's where that intimidating essence comes from the other life into this one. But they are not things to be ashamed of. There are things to just be mindful how you utilize them and how they mold in your existence, my loves. Because peace is yours to have. It's guaranteed to you as you accept your power. Pal 2, that was your reading. Do check out the other creators. Feel free to comment below, you know, what your takeaways are. The more you comment to these messages, the more that you are a part of the collective that is channeled. Peace, love, and light, beautiful soul. Hey 3, baby. What's up? You chose this beautiful Lovers. It's actually a masculine and a feminine, looking like the masculine is feeling the feminine's energy, but it also can resonate as like a mask being taken off, or the feminine and masculine energy becoming one. So for whatever reason you might have chose this pal for, it might be about balancing something within yourself and or connection. We're gonna get into what your personality traits were in your past life and how they play in this current incarnation. And then we're going to break it down even further so we can really get to what the lessons of it all is. Okay, so we're going to be using the Real Me Oracle by Joey of King Aloha. Let's get into it. This is a very thickum deck of cards. All right, how are your personality traits from a past life contributing or hold true to this current incarnation? Holds true to this current incarnation. Okay, let's get all 3 out. Oh, oh my. Oh my. kind of feeling moved for the bottom of the deck for this one as well. Again, I'm only going to go to the bottom of the deck for any of these when I feel moved to. We have I'm the outgoing, social, in your face type. So in a past life, you might have been a socialite of some kind, or someone who held a title for parties and events. Okay, but we also have sneaky. I may be up to something behind the scenes. Why am I getting like spy, espionage? I think that's the way you say that word. Forgive my English. Why am I getting like spy vibes right now? Oh Lord. And we have discreet. I like to keep my business to myself. Okay, I'm gonna keep this a buck with y'all right now. I'm getting like spy vibes from another lifetime, and I'm gonna try and keep this simple. But if you've ever felt like the work you did in a past life was like top secret, no one can know about it, you might resonate with secret society type vibes. And I'm not saying you had to be a part of like a creepy one in particular, but you might have been a part of some type of group that gathers information and keeps it very hush hush. You could have also been a socialite of some kind in another lifetime. You threw a lot of secret parties. You were always up to something. Okay, so there are both positives and I don't want to say negatives per se, but can be at times negative things to see in these traits. For example, being a social person is cool, but notice it also says I can be the in your face type. So you might find yourself sometimes sticking your nose in places it doesn't belong because you're so outgoing, because you're so social. You might be willing to talk about any and everything, and some things in some places just aren't meant to be talked about, especially at the expense of someone else. The sneaky word may not register, but that whole I could be planning something behind the scenes. You could be an individual that plans a lot of things behind the scenes. And again, that's cool unless it's shady or shisty at some point. And if that was ever the case, then that could still be something you need to heal from yourself. I get the feeling that for you, Pile 3, and you have to just be willing to be honest with yourself here, because y'all know I'm blunt around here. Some of you might have at times found yourself maybe not putting people in uncomfortable situations, but addressing certain things or talking to people in a certain way that you wouldn't like them to talk to you. Right? So say you're good at having girls talk or dudes talk, where you hang with everybody and you chill and y'all talk about certain stuff. Sometimes you might have let things slip out that should have been quiet. But if someone was to do that to you, you would take a grave offense because you like to keep things discreet. So that's one vibration I'm getting from this group. Another vibration I'm getting from this group is just very bluntly what you see before you. So minus the whole doing it at someone's expense, you can be social. You can be a social butterfly. You can be the kind that can get up close with people who you didn't know just 5 seconds ago and make friends very easily, or at the very least acquaintance. It doesn't mean that you loosey-goosey or promiscuous. It's just you're really good at connecting with people, and because of that, you're really good at gathering information. And that information can be something that you keep on the hush hush, you discreetly tuck away unless you need it for something later. You're really good at working on things behind the scenes, so you might have a career in this lifetime that's similar. But I'm gonna be real with y'all, I'm getting like spy vibes. We also have spazzy. I go off a lot. So this goes back to that feeling I picked up of sometimes you might say and or do things that if someone else did it to you, you have a whole fit. But when you do it, it's supposed to just be understood that you didn't mean bad by it, and etc. You might have also dealt with people like this. Take what resonates for you, leave what doesn't. But there's nothing wrong with being a social butterfly. There's nothing wrong with minding your business and taking care of things behind the scenes, keeping your business to yourself. Just make sure that you're not doing crazy stuff at the expense of other people and get mad when the roles are reversed. All right, just be mindful of that. In other words, you don't want people talking ish about you. You don't want people judging you. Don't be so judgy of other people. It's not saying you're a bad person, but at times you might find it so easy, for lack of a better term, to kind of like poo-poo on stuff other people are doing, or talk a little smack about what someone else is doing, but you haven't made sure that your closet is clean. You dig what I'm saying? So just you might have had that trait, or rather you did have that trait in another lifetime, so just be mindful of it. I'm still getting this like spy espionage kind of vibration here. Like y'all might be people who like studying secret things, mystic arts, conspiracy theory, which ain't always a conspiracy theory, but you dig what I'm saying, consciousness, awareness, that type of thing. You could have had people in your family that served in like secret service. I feel like you might resonate with lifetimes from the 30s and 40s. Now let's get some cards. We're going to be using Celeste Simone's Celeste Rose Oracle. Let's see about this outgoing energy you have. You thrive in social settings. Bada bing, bada boom. In this doing things behind the scenes vibration, we have carefree. This came out in another reading, so you might resonate to check another pick-up pile. You do things behind the scenes. You thrive when you're in public settings because you're so good at appearing carefree in the moment. But I feel like you're always observing the space. Sneaky can be that. Sneaky can be lurking and having the intention of getting gossip and news. Or it can just be you're really good at peeping-ish and keeping it hush-hush. Okay? Let's get that discreet energy. We have activation. All right? So I feel like once you are confident, like let's say you're working on a project or you know the news of something. Once you are confident in what you know, and how to express it without backlash or miscommunication, that's when you allow yourself to freely activate whatever it is, talk about it, allow it to take place. There's an energy of being mindful of your business when it comes to respect to other people's business that this pile needs to be aware of for whatever reason that's channeling. Okay? Some of you might have a hard time actually being discreet, and Spirit is saying it's a trait from a past life that you need to relearn, or a trait that you had a lifetime ago that you need to relearn. In fact, let's get into your past life cards. There's definitely some type of gift of awareness that's activating in you. Memories from another lifetime might start channeling to you if they haven't already. I feel like you're going to be drawn to certain stories that are connected to someone you once were. Like literally, it's like picking up a paper and feeling like, why do I feel like I know this man or this woman? I don't think my family know them. They're not related to me. So why do I feel like I know this person? And I tell you guys all the time, a lot of times in your past life, you could have very well been somebody in your own family and you reincarnated into the same bloodline. That happens a lot too. There's something about memories activating. Something that was hidden coming to light. I feel like you guys are also good messengers. I'm getting spy energy, like communicating a message in secret, like shh, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody till this person says go. And I'm hearing, and on the count of three, go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go, I'm hearing that song. A lot of stuff coming in for you, Pile 3. So it feels a little all over the place, but hopefully it makes sense. Let's get into your past life archetypes here. Okay. We have orphan. You might have dealt with abandonment issues in this life. It was definitely something that somebody here dealt with in a different lifetime. Could be why you find the need to socialize and kind of sometimes be in people's face. I know most would think if a person felt this abandonment issue, it would make them more distant from people. Sometimes that's how it comes out, and in other cases, it makes you want to be, or you don't want to be alone. So even if you're in a room and you're not spending time with everyone, you still need to be in that space where there's people, because you don't like feeling like you're alone. You don't always need the attention on you per se, but you do want to be able to look up and see somebody is there. That's very particular for somebody. For others, it can be easy to feel left out if you're not socializing with everyone else. Like, I need to be able to express my feelings. I need to be able to talk and interact, because if I bottle everything up, it makes me feel like I'm alone. So I don't feel like all of you necessarily, this is a collective reading. I don't feel like everybody was an orphan in another life, but orphan has a vibration to it. And it's typically the vibration of feeling abandoned or alone, or feeling like you've never really known yourself or know your family. So there might be people in your family that you're not close to, and you feel like you should know them better and you don't. So it became easier to socialize with people outside of that. Could be another reason that you like to observe situations and sometimes work on things behind the scenes, because you may not have always trusted everyone around you. We have authority. Respect my authority. Now, authority goes to that whole sometimes being judgy of people and needing to be mindful of that, needing to be honest with yourself about that, and or always feeling like other people are judging you. And I feel like the carefree energy is the answer to that. If you felt like people were judging you as if you were supposed to act a certain way and they were supposed to have a certain kind of authority over you, keeping a carefree light energy in spite of that is a beautiful thing. But for others, sometimes you might be kind of faking that a little bit. Like, on the surface, you'll act like I know what I'm doing. I'm cool. I'm just carefree. I'm an authority in what I do. Yeah. But then the moment you get behind closed doors, it's kind of lonely and you end up feeling, you know what I mean? There's something to that here for this collective. But I do feel like someone has to watch how they judge people. All right? You can be honest. You can be honest about what you see. But it's a big difference between being honest and just being an asshole. You needed to hear it that way. Okay? In another life, you could have been, again, a socialite or somebody who was married to a person of authority if you yourself didn't have authority. And so it can make it where you can command a space. You don't have to command it in a I'm the power over you, overlord kind of way. But people find that they naturally go along with what you say. And then we have travel. Again, pile 3, you may resonate with another pile. We have the train again. I'm actually feeling like you're someone who loves the idea of travel. Many of you in this pile might have traveled a lot. And that might be something that you want to activate and get back into. I feel like when you make moves, and this is what this really is coming in as, when you make moves and you go places, you don't always like people knowing. You like to keep your business to yourself. You like to move in silence, move discreetly. That is a great trait to have in certain situations. Not everybody needs to know your business. Not everybody needs to know where you're going. All right, pile 3. My camera glitched a bit. Where I left off at, I don't know where it cut off at until I check. But I was saying, if you find it hard to be discreet now, it's a trait that you need to tap back into, because not everyone needs to know your business. If you're normally quiet amongst people you know, but it's easy for you to like maybe hop in a chat and talk certain personal things in a chat with everybody when you don't even know if you could trust everybody, watch that. Watch out for that, especially if you're someone who sometimes maybe judges other people or talks sideways about other people at times. There can be karma attached to that a little. So just be mindful. For others, where it's not that you talk bad about anybody or nothing, it's just sometimes you might spill the beans on things that you shouldn't spill the beans on. Again, mindfulness. There's nothing wrong with being discreet as long as you're being that way for the right reasons and with the right things. You don't have to keep everything to yourself. Just please be mindful of who you're trusting with certain things. And be mindful of if people are trusting you with something and you're slipping up and talking about it because you thought it was no big deal. Just because it ain't a big deal to you don't mean it's not going to be a big deal to somebody else. Let's get into the tarot. I'm still hearing espionage. Like, what the deuce? Lord. We got 10 of Wands. High Priestess. Queen of Pentacles. Oop, holding it upside down. Queen of Pentacles. It did come up upright. 4 at the bottom of the deck. 4 of Pentacles. Yeah, with that 10 of Wands, sometimes all of that being able to put yourself out there and talk to people and be social, it's hiding another part of you. It's hiding another part of you that struggles a bit more, but the struggle is coming to an end. That 10 of Wands is telling you to be mindful with what all you put on yourself and what all you take on. What are you investing your time in? Sometimes when you're in those social settings and you're just like talking and listening to some gossip, maybe gossiping a bit yourself, are you paying attention to how much energy you're feeding that, and whether or not that energy is good for your soul or good for your well-being? Are you forcing yourself to go out and socialize in certain settings that you don't even belong in? Watch out for that, okay? You intuitively know if you're doing this or not. I feel like the High Priestess takes us back to this. I keep picking up on this, like being into, it's like, if not conspiracy theories, then it's like secret societies. And I'm not necessarily picking up on the real like crazy. When I say crazy, I mean like people willing to sacrifice the soul of another for some riches or something like that, okay? But I do find that you might have been someone in another life that studied a lot of mystic arts, or you had some type of training in a spiritual belief or in some type of high practice, like a high priestess, like a high priest. Not necessarily from a religious standpoint only, but there was spiritual elements to it. Remember, religion can be very political. Spirituality is built more so in divine truths and studying all the different ways they express themselves. There's a lot of mystery to you, and there's a lot of mystique to the things that you like, is the bottom line here. And at times you hold back a lot about yourself. So when people think that you're expressing, again, there are certain people that you reveal secrets to that you shouldn't, but there are also situations where people might think, oh, so-and-so talks too much, such and such is always in your face, but really they haven't got to the really like nookie, you know what I'm saying, the real crinny of who you are, because certain stuff you keep to yourself. Certain things are happening behind the scenes, in private, unbeknownst to other people. Okay? But there's still this strong energy of being mindful. I feel like if you're one who typically for lack of a better term, spies on certain things, be mindful that you too might be getting watched here. So be careful what you spying on and what you looking into, especially if it's something you don't want to get caught red-handed with. Just take it how it resonates, all right? Some things ain't meant to hold on to. Some things ain't meant to spaz out over. Because here we have this like trying to hold on to something that you should let go of and spazzing out over it because it didn't go the way that you wanted it to, or because someone snapped on you for a misunderstanding. So be more mindful. Take care of how you deal with other people and how other people deal with you. What are you giving energy to? I keep hearing that. What are you giving energy to? You're watching them, but who's watching you? So if you feel like there's a person that's been keeping their eye on you and they've been trying to act like they weren't, that's your confirmation that they were. Whether it's a significant other or maybe a relative that you were suspect of, it's something to that. It's a lot of different energies coming in here. You intuitively know, though. I feel like you know what you need to do here. This is bringing you confirmations that you need. For others, again, when it comes to that social realm, be mindful of what you're contributing any energy to. What are you investing in? Is it weighing you down? Is it tiring you out? Is it helping you get anywhere anytime soon? Or is it just making it take longer to reach your destination? Okay? With this second row here, there's a lot of mystique to you. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of stuff that you do behind the scenes that people aren't aware of, and some people don't ever need to be aware of it. So be careful who you share your secrets with. Be more discreet in how you go about certain things. Don't trust every group that you're in, whether it be, especially if it's social media, but whether it be in public or, not all circles is for you. Just because they may have something in common with you don't necessarily mean that they're in your corner. Choose wisely. The Queen of Pentacles has to be very mindful with how she interacts with certain energy, because she tends to be the caretaker of many energies. I also feel like somebody wants to gift you something. They want to bring something to you, but I feel like you should be mindful of who that person is, because it might be, she's holding out this coin, and I feel like it's almost like someone wants to pay someone to tell them their business or something. Like they'll bribe you with something, like, oh, I'll take you out to eat and you can tell me all about this thing you're working on, or all about this conversation you and so had. Don't trust that. It's something sneaky to that. It's something real sneaky. Trust your instincts and your intuition if you feel like you should avoid going somewhere with somebody. Okay? I don't know why, but I'm getting this like movie darling vibe, other than the fact that this is a Pulp Fiction deck. I'm getting like a movie darling vibe. So someone might have been an actress in a past life, and that was one of the ways that you were a socialite, having to attend events and sometimes be different roles for different situations. Pile 3 is a very interesting group. I feel like there's almost 5 to 6 very distinct energies or groups here that'll resonate with stuff in sections. So make sure you're paying attention to what you take away from this carefully. You may resonate with another pile here. We have in 11 to 12 months some type of burden that you've been carrying for a while. You've been looking for a resolution to it. It says 11 to 12 months, but I'm hearing 11 to 12 weeks. So maybe 11 to 12 months ago was when the issue, this merry-go-round feeling came in. And whatever that is going to transition out in like 11 to 12 weeks. But for those of you who resonate with that 11 to 12 months, I feel like it's a burden. Something that you were giving attention to, or a group of people that you were giving attention to, with that being social and in someone's face. Feeling like you're on a merry-go-round with some people or a person that's coming to an end. I'm hearing coming to an end soon, but even though it may end soon, the explanations you needed to certain things may not come until 11 to 12 months later. So just be mindful, or 11 to 12 weeks later. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. We have the month of March. Honestly, pile 3, I wouldn't be shocked if you were curious about pile 1 and 2. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. With that March energy, I feel like next March is gonna be crucial. The number 3 is really important. 3 is really important for you. And we have time to reflect. Bottom of the deck, we have in 4 to 5 years. The time to reflect isn't in 4 to 5 years, but something that you reflect on now and that you heal now, or you confront in this current time. It's gonna make sense bit by bit, but then once the years add up, it'll be, oh, okay. I get why that had to happen the way it did. But like I always tell y'all, when you see something that tells you it's years off, it's going by vibration more than anything. So the more that you start to stand in a strong vibration that aligns with your highest good, that aligns with your highest potential, certain things accelerate, whereas other things may slow down, so that you're able to progress the right way, you know, in a more smooth way. So certain challenges may come in quicker than normal to get you to be prepared. And then once the good things come in, you're ready for it. It's not going to be overwhelming because you already know how to roll with the punches, so to speak. So just be mindful when stuff start coming in years, because, you know, again, like this said 11 to 12 months, but I'm hearing 11 to 12 weeks for some of y'all when it comes to certain things. And I'm also hearing 11 to 12 months ago instead of in. And then we have March here. March of last year was important, and March of the next coming year, 2023, is going to be important. And the number 3 is very important here. So it could be sometime in spring of next year, or late winter of next year, you will be reflecting on some things. And those things can contribute down the line to events that may appear 4 to 5 years after. But remember that can always accelerate. So just be mindful. Okay, we have try again later. Grow through it. And this is spring energy. Spring is about things growing. And we have time to reflect, think it over. Okay, so something that you might have been trying to participate or give your energy to, and it just didn't seem to work out. It may have not been the right time to give your energy to that situation or to that person. Okay, just wasn't the right time. It could be something that you're meant to try again later, but if it involved people, the people can always change. The situation, or let's say you have a dream of a particular kind of love. You want to be loved a certain way, right? You shouldn't be so dependent on another loving you. You got to allow people the space to show you how they would love you and how that is compatible with you. But hypothetically, let's say you had a certain person in mind and that person just doesn't measure up for whatever reason. It may be that person's not the right person. They could have been someone that was meant to help you open up, maybe someone that was meant to help you realize things about yourself that you were ignoring. And then when the other individual who is worthy comes in, you'll be prepared for that individual, if that makes sense. You may have to slow this down to get what I'm saying. So trying again isn't always about trying again with a specific person. It's saying wrong time, wrong person, or it could be right idea, right situation, wrong group of people. And there may be a different setting. So if there's a certain social setting that you were hanging with, or a certain group that you were always talking to, having a group that supports you is fine. Having a place that you can vent, cool, and express yourself, awesome. But is it the right group? Is it the right place? Is it the right people? Is it the right kind of affection? And if not, you might have to try again somewhere else. You'll be divinely moved and given guidance on when that is. Okay, something else that you might have had a question about that you feel barred from right now, in 11 to 12 weeks, you'll get an opportunity to try again. All right, but some processes you have to grow through, and some other things you have to think over. Let's get your positive energy oracle, and then we're going to call it. Okay, did I get too many cards? Because I am only taking 3. We have stability 2249. Okay, any chaotic or confusing energies will be dispatched. Expect energies to be balancing out, returning to your version of normal. For some of y'all, I feel like you're going to get a different kind of normal. So things that might have been shaky and rocky, they'll balance out and become normal. Funny how a lot of this involved like minding one's business or being in someone else's business, and then here's business. 2890. Expect an increase in business, profits, and money. This is a lucky time to start a new business. Expect deals and forward movement. Grow through it though. Take your time. But I'm also feeling like, again, that's why you got to be mindful about who you talking to and who you talking about. And whatever you're working on behind the scenes, some things are meant to stay hush hush. You're an observant person. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. It's only supposed to really be 3 cards, but we're gonna go ahead and just take these 2. So we have 4422. What goes around comes around. You receive good karma for past actions and good deeds done from the heart, from the kindness of your heart. Okay. And then we have sincerity 2358. Anything that has been draining and robbing you of your peace of mind will be removed completely from your life. And we pretty much covered all of those energies. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in your group. There's a lot of secrecies and just, it's all kind of like stuff going on with y'all. In this pile. Take what resonates for you, leave what doesn't. Be mindful of the energy that you put out. I don't care what others may tell you. If you pay attention to your life, the energy you put out always finds its way back to you. So make sure your heart's in the right place, and that you're also making sure that your actions fit what you are displaying. Just because you like to talk don't mean you can talk to everybody. Be mindful of this. I keep hearing it over and over again. And you're observing a scene, but make sure that when you observe things that you're not allowing your opinion or past situations to cloud what you think is taking place or what you think could be happening in a moment or in a connection. That's very important too. Okay, that is like the uptime time. well, the second time technically, that we've been cut off. So I'm going to end it here. I feel like you may have to listen to this a few times to see what parts of these are for you and resonates to you fully. My loves, Pal 3. Make sure you check out the other collaborators in the group, and I will check for you later. Peace, love, and light, beautiful souls.
Get your copy of Love Confession Cyber Edition. Link in bio.